there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and it's Talking Comics. We're going to talk some comics. These are comics of the week of January 29th, 2025. The last comics of January, in no particular order. Off the cuff, as always. Let's start right out with Time Waits, issue number 3, the conclusion of this distillery book written by Chip Zdarsky and David Brothers. Marcus Toe on art with Matt Wilson doing the coloring. This is a fine action comic, I guess sci-fi, because it's got some time traveling involved in it. I don't know that there was anything. There wasn't any real, I guess, surprises or anything like that in it. I did enjoy it. It was fun. It felt very quick. It felt like I could just envision this really easily being a movie, a really cool movie. So the time traveling part, I have some questions about the time traveling part. Blue, our main character here, that's in the chair there, was suffering from time sickness when he was in the past. Was that time sickness from being out of time, or was it because time was changing around him? Or is what he suffers in this issue the fact that he keeps blanking out because time keeps getting changed around him? Because there's plenty of that. That's one thing I really loved about this book. It unabashedly had zero issue with characters just going and doing whatever. You know, none of that butterfly effect, none of that, oh my gosh, whatever. They just did stuff. But he seemed to be the only one that suffered from the effects of time changing around him. But I like that. I mean, I like the fact you kind of see potentially like him as an old man and maybe dying because he gets these weird flashes. And that's not what seems to be what happens in it. But yeah, like I said, I enjoyed this. I don't have a ton to say about it. It was a fun, 3-issue romp. So yeah. So as a whole, I'm digging most of the distillery comics. Most of them, that big format, I think works. I think it adds a lot. One thing, if you're somebody who's impatient, maybe you just wait for the trade of these things, because typically lots of times it's like an issue comes out and then it's quite a few months before the next issue comes out. Some of them are faster than that, I think, because of how they have them banked up or the way that the creators work. Either case, I enjoy them as a whole. Weirdly, though, there's a Warm Fusion book I was really excited about. Alberto Ponticelli does the artwork on it. I really like his stuff. I haven't seen him do comic books in a while. It seems like it's been quite a while since I've seen him do anything. I'm like years and years. He's probably been doing tons of stuff, just European comics that I don't know about or don't have access to. But they did one issue, and now I see in the solicits, now they're just soliciting the trade. So no other single issues. That's annoying, not knowing that, because I don't want to pick up the first issue of a story and not get the rest of the story. If I'm really interested, I'll go get the trade, despite not really being a trade reader. Anyway, high horse, get off it. Anyway, next up we have House of Slaughter, issue number 29. This is Azure Part 4. I really enjoyed this issue. This issue kind of, it pulls everything together, what's all happening, because there's been some stuff in some of the issues I've been somewhat confused on, and I don't know if I've missed the subtle clues of what was happening, or it was supposed to be that way, so we get hit with a surprise in this, because this issue ties together a huge chunk of the rest of the House of Slaughter stuff, back with the character Edwin, who was a red mask who went to look into some kids that were disappearing at a camp. And he goes out on a boat in the lake and discovers the lake monster. That's what was coming and getting the kids. He engages with that. You think possibly he does that in his little talisman totem thing was this paintbrush. That's what his critter was in. it kind of becomes inert. And then that kind of story that ends. We have stuff in here with Bait, who is our kid who's missing his arms. He's a white mask that they, who knows what his name is. They call him Bait because that's what they use him as. But he kicks ass, beats up lots of monsters. But it's mostly centered around Edward, and his talisman's kind of been taken over or has taken on the lake monster, kind of a combination of the two, and kind of organizing some of the other nasty little spirits that are in all these totems, and is wrecking the house. And our Blue Azure has discovered this along with Edwin and Bait, and they are trying to battle that. And it's really cool. I really like the monster stuff. It's some good stuff. I really enjoyed this. Thought there's some interesting and smart stuff going on, and I look forward to the next issue. Hopefully we figure out, get some resolution, or is it just going to take the House of Slaughter? No, we'll see. Ooh, issue number 1 of the Seasons. This is a Rick Remender and Paul Acaceta. I looked it up yesterday on how to say the guy's last name, and now I don't remember, and I should have looked again before I started this. It's the problem with doing off the cuff and not being able to read people's names very well. Anyway, new book. We're like the font of the Seasons. I really enjoyed this book a lot. The art is really cool because the art reminds me of like illustrated ads almost. And I know it's the pen style of the artist, but it's also Mateus Lopes coloring on it. It's got this, like I said, it's just got this really cool kind of illustrated aesthetic to it, to large portions of it. At least that's what it reminds me of. I was a little concerned at the very beginning, because at the very beginning it starts out and everything is in this kind of browns and oranges, which appropriate color for what's going on, even though we don't necessarily 100% know what's going on. But not my favorite colors, and I'm just like thinking, it's gonna be kind of, but it changes up. So it seems to be a story about the Seasons. The Seasons are actually 4 girls who are all named after one of the seasons. This one centers around spring. And at the end of it, she's getting a letter from her older sister, Autumn, telling her that she needs to gather the other sisters and get the heck out of town because something's coming. This issue is one long, double size, long chase issue. It is literally Summer for probably 32 pages, her chasing after a letter that is in the breeze and blowing, and it's their smart way of kind of showing you the town, this make-believe town they're in, some of the people that are in the town, how people act, what Summer is like. I mean, she's having a conversation with a goldfish. She talks to a cat. She seems to understand them, or she's just crazy and having a conversation with them and is making up what she thinks they're saying. So I guess we don't 100% know that. Yeah, see, this is the cover for the next one. And see, it just has this kind of 60s, 70s illustrated ad look to it that I just really, really dug. But I enjoyed this. It was a fun, really long, chase scene to kind of educate us on what this place is like. We got this kind of like carnival or something that's coming to town. We don't know the aspects of that yet. It's the beginning. It's towards the very end. It's rolling into town as Summer finally gets to her letter to open it. And then we get to see Autumn writing said letter, and then some stuff happening right after that. Seems to be their parents are missing. Autumn has been looking for the parents. Summer is a letter carrier. but yeah, so I like I said, I really dug this. It was a double page. It was a I mean, I think it was double the size it normally is, still the same price. I would assume that the next one won't be that way. Um, Super cool that they allowed that to happen, to give us this long, great, action filled, um, kinetic, story to kind of give us the beginning of this. I really enjoyed it. I'm really curious to see what's going on. I really like the feel of it, and the look of it. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. It doesn't feel like a typical, and I don't know if typical is a good word. Is typical a bad word? Um, it doesn't feel like your standard Rick Remender book. It doesn't deliver some of the vibes that a lot of his stuff for me delivers, and those aren't bad things. I enjoy those things, quite a bit. Just kind of the glance of harsh reality of things is a lot of what I feel like he writes about, and there really wasn't necessarily that. I mean, there's this sinister potential of whatever the heck this is, of being a problem, but that's not. It wasn't delivered at the beginning of it. Anyway, enjoyed it quite a bit. Looking forward to seeing what comes from it. I'm looking forward to checking out more of Paul's art. So yeah, excited for that. And so we have issue 11 of Black Cloak. Mystery solved in this one. In this issue, I think the first arc was a more intriguing and fever pitched kind of an arc than this one is. I feel like this arc more things were assumed, or I felt like they were assumed. Like I needed to know something that I didn't necessarily know. I enjoy the world. It's interesting. Not sure if or when we'll see more. What would be next? We were left in a positive place here, whereas the last arc we were left in kind of a dire place. Whereas here it's the characters are all kind of in a positive space and moving towards positive stuff. Not that doesn't mean there can't be more story. Obviously, it just didn't leave it with a anything needs to be fixed, whereas the other one was left with lots of stuff broken. So I still really like the art by Meredith McLaren. Like the look of the book. It's interesting, but as a whole, the first arc I had a lot more energy with than with this second arc and whatnot. And I think largely just because I felt like there was a lot of stuff that either I don't remember from the last arc, or like I said, assumed kind of I'm supposed to get what's going on in some of those aspects, kind of thing. They touched on some stuff that I felt like I wasn't invested in to know that, one of them missing their wings and having mechanical wings or whatever was a big deal, or I didn't get that. So next up, we have a comic, always my favorite. This is issue 43 of Ice Cream Man. This is all one-page horror stories. Giant list of people down there, all people who wrote literally one-page horror stories in this. All pretty much, with the exception of the Zoe Thorogood one, they're all pretty much drawn by Morazzo, the regular artist on the book. And everybody understood the assignment. All of these people did great jobs. I really liked the first Grant Morrison one story in here quite a bit. I like Kelly Sue DeConnick's quite a bit. Zoe Thorogood's one is very sad because it's personal and real for her. The book is, I believe, dedicated to her younger brother who passed away. But yeah, just it was cool. It's cool to see creators constrain themselves, I guess, to a single page. How do you deliver a complete horror story in a single page? I guess one of the cool things about horror is you don't really have to complete something. You just have to drop the idea in the reader's head and walk away, because then the story's there, really, right? Because then it rides in our heads for us to either play it out or not play it out. But yeah, really, really thought this was pretty cool. Even some of them even do a really good job of tying it into the Ice Cream Man universe, or it sure feels that way, largely because of the art, I'm sure. But some of them actually use some of the Ice Cream Man stuff to 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 tell their stories, which is cool in and of itself. Ice Cream Man is just a wonderful series as far as like it being, I don't know what you would call it, an anthology or whatever you call it, of horror, just a really kind of a weird Twilight Zone thing. I still continue to be really impressed with it. All the stories are good. Maybe not all of them are mind-blowingly, oh my gosh. They're not all Neapolitan. But every 3 or 4 issues, it feels to me like we get one that's just an absolute banger. And all the others are excellent too. Just some of them are exceptional beyond that. But as always, highly recommend Ice Cream Man. Singles or in trades, whatever. However you want to read it, get it. As always, super stoked that it is 43 issues in. I hope it hits 100. It's just some really great stuff. Next up from Mad Cave, we have A Long Cold Winter issue number 2. This issue is largely a flashback of Peace Dog. He's got some people that are haunting him. They clearly are physically there, though, because the robot kid knows about it. He's like the devil. Peace Dog, we find out in his past, made a bargain of sorts that to stay alive, to not die out in combat, even though he himself had no mercy for anyone. He begs for mercy. He ends up getting it, but part of that mercy is he has to be alone with his thoughts of all the terrible stuff he's done for forever, basically. And he's breaking that alone bargain with this whole having the robot kid with him and going to where supposedly there's this utopia where the robot kid wants to go to that he's taking him to. Bounty hunters continue to hunt down Peace Dog. In this issue, he gets in a shootout with some of them, gets wounded. The robot kid is racing him off to get him better. Not necessarily a deep story. I continue to really like the art quite a lot in it, and the colors. It's just visually interesting to me because it's kind of its own, it's its own style. I mean, clearly it's comic books. Comic books, right? But this artist clearly has his own vibe, his own style about stuff, including the colorist. And I love the energy, the kinetic energy that's in parts of it and whatnot, and the colors and the quirky little stuff that's in the backgrounds, the little details in his style and whatnot. It's just got a really cool look to it. I liked Love Me. I enjoyed it more just because it was brighter and based on love, whereas this one is clearly based on war and death. So that one was more fun. This I'm still really digging it and having a good time with it. Here is issue number 7 of Lawful. I just continue to enjoy this comic more and more. Each issue, really surprised where it's gone to, what it's kind of shown, what it's talked about. I kind of was getting it going, well, I'm just going to check this out. It's going to be kind of a kid's comic. Doesn't feel like that at all. I mean, definitely a kid could read it. Just really cool, some really cool message in there. This is second to the last. I mean, I think this is next issue is the last issue, I believe. But but we just get kind of a showdown with the really hardcore monsters and the people who aren't, and the kind of people who are in between, and the curse and lifting the curse, and all of that. There's just kind of a lot of the stories coming to a head here, and I just really, really have been enjoying it. It's been fun. It was one of the first books I read of the pile, just because it's been it's been an easy read, just a joy to read. So I really appreciate that. Boom Studios, Greg Pak, Diago Galindo on art, just some good stuff. Oh, and finally, this week, probably one of my favorite books. This is Spectrum issue 2. I really, really enjoyed this issue a lot. Excuse me. Dave Chisholm's art is just incredible in this book. That's the big thing about it, but it also just it deals in music, which I absolutely love. Music a lot. This issue, whereas last issue is kind of like, what the hell is going on? What is all this stuff that's going on? This issue starts to kind of give us an idea of who the players are and why they're doing what they're doing. A female character from the first issue is in this issue, but it's mostly centered around this woman in this issue and her having inherited her father's record collection after her father basically disappears. In this, that other girl shows up and it's like, we got to find your father. Because his father is a connection to this other guy. I think this other guy is going to help us connect all of this music and reality together in some way as they're being pursued by these other people who clearly do not want that to happen. The opening sequence here, I didn't get it until I got through the comic, and then it's like, oh, that's Dad as a kid, right? Reading their version of Fantastic Four and seeing this specter of music and energy and whatever else is going on here. And then that affecting him and moving forward. And we get his daughter's story of her running a record store that she says is not a smart move in the first place. And then certainly you do not want to name your record store unpopular pop. And she's basically, selling her dad's collection amongst other stuff. But it's just really, really cool. There's all these really cool aspects to it. The art is great. This page over here where this dove is flying in and them boxing the dove for a lot of it, I think is really cool. And she chases that dove out the door, and then the dove is actually, is it a paper bag? She's not sure. And it's kind of just a talk about her and who she is and why she is and some frustrations that she has and just some cool aspects to it. And like I said, the art is just really freaking cool. I just seriously dig large. Which is the art. It's got a great fake ad back here, the Fabulous Four, which is their version of the Fantastic Four. And then I was looking at this, comparing Maggie Orange, and then I scanned the QR code, which I normally don't do, but I saw the artist, Chisholm, talking about, hey, you should scan that QR code for a surprise. Well, it brings you to Spotify, brings you to the actual song, this actual song that the artist wrote the music to, another guy wrote the lyrics to, and this literally Maggie Orange, new single from Maggie Orange down there, it says, Get Lost Love, is actually there. And it's really a cool tune. So that was exciting. That's cool. Once again, we're mixing my two favorite things, music and comics. How do you go wrong? I'm super stoked for the next issue. Really curious to see what goes on. Like I said, this issue felt way more like it kind of cements the story as to what's going to be happening kind of going forward, as far as we're not just wandering with a homeless girl and weird stuff happening to her. Now there's an objective in the story, and I'm excited for that objective. Check that out and see what's going on with it. So if you dig music at all and you dig cool art and stuff, pick up Spectrum, go back. I'm sure you could probably hunt down issue 1 from Mad Cave Studios. Mad Cave is nailing it right now. I hope they can keep it up. I hope they can maintain it, because there was a time there, I was thinking about this a couple days ago. I was like, man, there was a time where it was like, it just felt like Vault was like on fire. Everything about it, good on fire. Everything about it, they're putting out all these cool horror books and all this different stuff going on. Back when I didn't necessarily think I was into horror books, and clearly I am. I get a lot of stuff that I think falls into that kind of that category. It seems, but they get a lot, and then now it's like they almost don't exist. And then year or so ago, I started picking up Mad Cave. I think I was just kind of looking at different smaller presses, and they were doing a Colin Bunn book, and I like Colin Bunn, and that book was fine. It really fell into the torture porn kind of stuff, I felt like, more so, which is just not my jam in the horror world. But then I started seeing other stuff. I'm like, that might be interesting. And I'm just, like I said, they have some really cool stuff. And this is, really cool thing. And yeah, so I'm excited for them. I hope that, I hope they can maintain it. I think I'm trying to remember, because of course, Diamond's having all kinds of problems. They filed for bankruptcy. So probably most of these publishers aren't going to get paid. There's a lot of them that are sounding like that might be the death nail, that pay is they're already struggling, and that pay is potentially going to end some people, just because non-comic book people have gotten their fingers in, and I think that's what's caused the most problems. You get investment people who are buying crap for the wrong reasons, and then driving the ground, or cutting costs, or selling off IP, or whatever they need to do. All terrible stuff for the comic book business. But I don't think they're in with that stuff. But anyway, super excited about this book. Really dug it. That's it for this week. I don't have this week's currently that we're setting in right now as I'm recording this. I don't have those comics after a couple weeks of bragging about my comics coming nice and early. Now they're once again back to being late, so I won't get them until hopefully Monday. I'll get them, and then I will struggle to read them through the week, as opposed to being able to read them easily on the weekend to be able to talk about them. No, I don't know how many people watch the end of these things when I start rambling. But yay, it looks like the tariffs are held off from my last video talking about how that was going to wreck comics if the tariff hits. It could really mess things up for us. So it's on hold, at least for 30 days or something like that. Clearly let's act tough. We're going to do tariffs, and then basically back off and not really do them. And you can say you won the tariff thing. Let's also talk about the other thing that seems to be going on in America, this whole attack on DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you aren't for those things, you live an incredibly boring life. I want my comics to be full of all kinds of stuff like that. Because not only do I want to enjoy comics, I love learning something about somebody else, about a different world, about a different people, about different ways of thinking about stuff. Because if everything was just like me, it would be a damn boring place. And if that's what you want, holy cows, I don't understand. Don't understand how you can go day to day just consuming your familiar, always the same toast and tomato soup. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So give me all of those things, and give me a world with all of those things, because it's just better for everybody. There needs to be more diverse creators making our stuff. There needs to be. And not all of it's going to rock, but you know what? A lot of the stuff that us white dudes make isn't great stuff either. Let's be real, right? So In the past, I've had videos where I've literally argued with people about the fact that, oh, if you're going to make a diverse comic, it has to be better than everybody else because otherwise it won't survive. I mean, it's true in that sense, but it's also incredibly unfair to say that theirs has to be the best of the best when so much of it isn't the best of the best. So much of everything else that's out there now isn't the best of the best. I get that now. It's taken me years to understand that aspect of it. There are actually videos that I can't find. I've tried looking for them. Where I got into arguments with, back when I used to do lots of videos, had lots of comments, got in an argument with a person of color about the whole moving the goalpost thing and whatnot, and implied that I was being racist because of my whole, your book had to be better. And I argued with that. I was pretty pissed off at the time. Being pissed off instead of actually thinking about it, it took a while, quite a while. What I'm talking about now, I don't know. Other than what's happening in America really bothers me a whole bunch, so that's why I'm talking about it, I guess. But they were 100% right that it's the systemic racism. It's the not understanding that the system is set up that way. And I know that offends or upsets people because it's not like the average person does not struggle regardless of where you're at. And I'm not saying that. But we have different standards, and or I was having different standards, and I shouldn't have those different standards. It should be the same standards, for everybody. So I'm down for middle of the road comics that are not what I typically read from different people than me. Let's do it. Anyway, off my high horses and whatever else. Hope you're all having a great one. Thanks if you watched. And I will hopefully catch you next week with another one of these. Have a great one.